This is Benjamin, founder of Farmagain. We have been to many farms so far, and most of the farms that we've been to might have been coconut or other crops like arecanut, banana, many other crops. But today we are in a farm near Rasipuram. It's a special farm in a way because it's actually a goat farm. Started about 8 years back. They started very small. Step by step, they've grown reasonably big, and they have a big dream to grow much larger. But when you grow a goat farm larger, what you really need is a lot of food for the goat. So what they started doing recently was also to start cultivating the fodders required for the goat, and they're cultivating many different crops like napier, super napier, corn, mulberry, and several others. And in terms of irrigation methods, they in some places use flood irrigation, some places they use rain hose, some even with proper drip irrigation. And even within the drip irrigated area, some they have used just flat land, some they've made mild bedding, probably about a half a foot of bed formation. The objective of our visit today to this farm is to actually explore different ways in which the foliage can be improved in these crops, so that like FCR in goat industry or poultry industry, what is the minimum input with which you can produce the maximum output? So that's the exploration that we want to do in this video today. So the man behind the successful journey of goat farm for the last 8 years is Mr. Aravind. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Actually, we have been doing goat farm for the past 8 years. We have around 300 to 400 goat capacity in our farm. So till that, we don't have that much hectic in the preparation of fodder for the goats. So our aim is to increase the goats up to 1000. So at the time, it can be difficult to manage the fodders.
Fodder.
So why? Because till now we have only 6 to 7 acres. So up to 100,000 goats means we definitely need some 15 to 20 acres for fodder preparation. At the time, we definitely need some support from some good knowledge people. Right now, we are doing maize and super napier like mulberry farming. In that, we are doing three types of irrigation. One is flood irrigation and drip irrigation and rain hose also. So in that field, you can see we are doing maize with rain hose method. What here happens means the maximum capacity of this land is 5 to 6 tons.
Maximum yield.
Maximum yield. But I think we may get up to some 10 tons in the same field. But we don't know how much technology should need, and we are busy with that goat farming.
Yeah.
So definitely we need your support to increase the more weight in that same field. Yeah.
Less input, higher output.
Yeah.
Right. So, good question, and I think it is quite logical that he wants to focus fully on the goats, and the fodder.
Yeah.
Should increase in foliage so that you probably can use less area and get higher output, so that you don't have to unnecessarily expand into more field.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So let's look at this field condition, and I would also give you some general inputs.
Okay.
So as far as any crop goes,
Okay.
what you really need to do is improve photosynthesis.
Yes.
A simple single line formula.
Yeah.
So how do you improve photosynthesis? Now, the objective here is only foliage.
Yeah.
Only biomass. You are not going to harvest corn and sell.
Yes.
Correct? So, to improve biomass, like I said, you have to improve the efficiency of photosynthesis by these plants. And what you need to do in order to improve the photosynthesis efficiency, there are a couple of tips I will give you now. Okay. Number one, look at this field as it is. Yeah. Right? Now, this is a flat land, and you're doing a rain hose irrigation.
Yeah.
And I also saw some fields where you're doing flood irrigation.
Yes.
In both of these, what really happens is that when you do the irrigation,
yeah,
actually, you have no other choice but to over irrigate.
Yeah.
When you irrigate, right?
Definitely.
It gets to a saturation point.
Yeah.
The soil becomes saturated, and then after evaporation, the soil gets back to a little bit of air-water balanced condition much later.
Yeah.
Right. So from the time you irrigate to the time there is a partial evaporation taking place and the soil becomes moderately balanced between air and water, the plants really cannot participate in photosynthesis efficiently.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one point you need to keep in mind. So how do you avoid that?
Yeah.
There are a few steps. Number one, for any crop, raised bed can do wonders.
Yeah.
Why? Simple. So this is a flat land. The aeration cannot be, let's say, 3-4 inches
down
below the surface.
Yeah.
Because on top of that, you're doing rain hose or flood irrigation. So
it's getting a little bit hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So the first thing you may want to do is to do a raised bed like any other vegetable farm.
Okay.
Which means about 1 1.5 foot tall beds. Width can be smaller. I mean, generally we do 2 foot top width and 4 feet bottom
Yeah.
for vegetables.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. Maybe 1 foot, 1.5 foot on top, and maybe 2 at the bottom should be fine.
Yeah.
For these crops, maybe slightly, you can probably go up to 2.5, 3 feet at the
Yeah.
bottom. And then what you can do is plant at both edges of the bed
Okay.
these crops, probably with 3/4 or 1 foot gap
Yeah.
between
Between the one plant.
plants, right? If you do that, what will happen is the plants on the bed, the 2 plants on the bed, will actually lean towards the open space,
Yeah.
right? And they both will grow taller, and also the foliage, the leaves that
Leaves.
grow, will have enough space between the rows for them to grow and receive sunlight.
Yeah.
Right? That's one point.
Okay.
Second, when you do the raised bed, what really happens is all these plants can increase their fibrous root to the extent they can.
Okay.
Right? So, if the soil is porous and if they get enough nutrition, they will definitely grow their fibrous root.
Yeah.
More fibrous root, more capacity for the plant to uptake more minerals.
Yeah.
Correct? So, to increase fibrous root, first of all, the place has to have enough porosity for the roots to
go.
maneuver,
Yeah.
which is one of the biggest purposes of these raised beds.
Yeah.
Right? And also the second thing that you want to keep in mind is always the raised bed, the direction of the beds must be in north-south.
Okay.
The reason is when the plants are in north-south direction, you always have gap between the two rows.
Okay.
So imagine the sun going from east to west. When it is from east to west, one side of the plant will get more sunlight.
Yeah.
When it goes towards
at the time of
sunset, the other side also gets enough sunlight.
So moreover, 90% of sun rays and sunset getting by the
exactly
plant.
because sun being right on top of you is only for a short period.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So towards this side and this side is the longest
time
period of the day. So that is the time you really want to efficiently utilize the sunlight available, because that is available in abundance.
Okay.
And the best way to absorb that is to have the north-south bed formation. So you understand the logic,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I can understand the logic.
So if you do that, then the plants, first of all, they have enough space between the rows,
Okay.
so they can grow longer. They can grow wider. So more space, more square inches of foliage means more absorption of sunlight.
Yeah.
Simple logic.
Yeah.
Correct? And at the same time, depending on the genetic capacity of whatever plant you're planting,
Okay.
the plants need the right minerals.
Yeah.
13 minerals. These 13 minerals have to be calculated and you supply through drip irrigation.
Okay.
You are very likely to see the best output, the best foliage and the best biomass from every crop.
Yeah.
Now, as far as this crop goes, I think you have done about 5 tons to 6 tons in 25 cents, which means roughly around 20 tons per acre. Right? Now, the maintaining the air-water balance, like I said, with the bed formation and drip irrigation, and supplying the minerals, 13 minerals, for a person like you, where your focus is actually the goat.
Yeah.
Right? So, manually is likely to be quite tough.
Okay.
Which is where our technology can potentially help you, because I mean, right from the time that we developed and from the day we launched in 2017, our technology was built with AI as a core, artificial intelligence as a core.
Yeah.
So what we basically do is we take different parameters from the soil, different parameters from the ambient, and also we pull a lot of data from weather stations.
Okay.
And our artificial intelligence engine will try to predict when the soil moisture may dry up.
Yeah.
It will actually predict. And once it predicts, let's say today, say 3, 4 o'clock, it is likely to dry up. Then it will do a secondary prediction of when and how long an irrigation has to happen. Again, all these calculations are done with the past data, because you have the irrigation history, you have everything is in our system. So the secondary prediction might say maybe by 11 o'clock today for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Okay.
What will happen is at 11 o'clock, this valve automatically will turn on, the pump will go on, the irrigation will take place. And if there is any mineral that the plants need, they will also get supplied.
Okay.
So what you are basically doing is, one, you have done the physical structuring, you have created enough environment for the plant to participate in photosynthesis properly. But but that very process of photosynthesis itself relies heavily on two things. One is the air-water balance at this root zone, and the actual minerals that the plants. So what Grotron really can do is, like I said, by predicting when and how long to irrigate, it does.
Okay.
Therefore, in theory, most of the time, if not 24 hours, most of the time, the soil is maintained with the right balance between air and water.
Okay.
Second, autonomously, the minerals or the fertilizers are also supplied.
Okay.
So therefore, the plants get all the minerals during photosynthesis, and they really can get into high foliage creation, because during photosynthesis what happens is it converts sunlight into energy.
Okay.
But for that to efficiently happen, the plants need 3 non-minerals:
Okay.
carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and 13 minerals.
Okay.
Starting with NP and K, calcium, blah blah blah. You have
Yeah.
13 minerals. If you are the non-minerals, of course, carbon, it is there in atmosphere.
Okay.
Oxygen and hydrogen is given to the plant through the water we
Yeah.
irrigate, and the remaining 13
13
minerals
minerals.
are things that we supply through the fertigation system.
Yeah.
Essentially, you have done 100% of what the plants really need, and therefore the plants are getting an opportunity to perform to their peak, similar to your goat.
Yeah.
You know, at 3 months of their age, what should be their weight, right?
Yeah.
So, because there is a genetic capacity that you
Yes.
are already aware of.
Yeah.
Very similar. So, if you give the right environment, to create the right environment, give the right inputs,
Okay.
the plants have no other option
They have to grow.
but to grow to their genetic capacity. So, you already have achieved around 5 tons in quarter of an
25
acre,
cents. Yeah.
25 cents, which translates to say 20 tons of total foliage
Yeah.
in 1 acre, right? And I'm quite confident, although I don't exactly know,
Okay.
this must have a genetic capacity of 40 to 50 tons of fresh biomass.
Yeah.
Right. Now, when you do these physical structuring like I suggested, and you apply Grotron on top of that,
Okay.
what this can really result in is that these plants can grow to their genetic capacity, at least 75% or more
Okay.
of their genetic capacity, which means you are targeting not less than 30 tons, 35 tons
Okay.
from 1 acre of this same crop. I mean, where you got close to 20 tons,
Okay.
you should be able to target 35, 40 tons
Yeah.
or a little more than that, because the genetic capacity of the plants is certainly much better than that. So, we may even be surprised.
Okay.
Say we get a yield of 45 to 50 tons, then you know the genetic capacity of the plant is much larger than
Yeah.
that, right? So, you got to figure out what is the real foliage capacity of this crop.
Okay.
So, we have now come to the mulberry field. The spacing, I guess, is about 4 feet
Yeah. 4
row
feet.
to row, and
Yeah.
about 1.5, a little
One and
more
a
than
half feet
that,
between
plant to
a
plant.
plant to plant.
Right. So, as far as bed formation goes, what I said before holds good.
Yeah.
You do a proper bed formation, definitely the yield will at least double.
Yeah.
Your biomass will at least double.
Okay.
So that is one input. And I just have a question. Is there a reason why you had these laterals hung on top of the plants?
Actually, the reason hang on the plant have two reasons. First one is while after one cutting, the new unwanted some greenies or
Weeds.
weeds are coming. At the time, the roots from the weeds get into the holes of the drip
Okay.
irrigation and they block the water. So another reason is while you are weeding with the power tiller,
Yeah.
the tube may get damaged.
Yeah.
So for that purpose, we keep the
Okay.
tube on the plant. And I have one doubt. So you can see here the white sediment over the drip.
Yep.
This is why, because the water is too much salty,
Yeah.
and this also get more damages in the
It
plant.
blocks
Yeah,
the
it block the
emitters.
water.
Yeah.
And in a row, you can see that nearly 10 to 15 plants are not getting that much
Right.
growth because of the water is not going.
Because the emitters are blocked.
Emitters are
Yeah.
blocked.
Okay. So I think we will address that first.
Yeah.
So I'll try to explain in a very simple, the simplest possible method.
Okay.
Any compound, for them to stay together, in chemical terminology, you need to have a plus and minus.
Yes.
Correct. So that is true for any chemical.
Yes.
Now, when your water has high TDS,
Yeah.
the high TDS is influenced by several minerals.
Okay.
The plus and minus molecules, they join together, and because of sunlight,
Okay.
they turn into sediments or
Yes.
powder,
Yes.
some form of solid.
Okay.
Now, if there is a way you can break that plus and minus, in theory, they cannot really join and form sediments.
Okay.
Right? There are many solutions available today. They call it as a magnetic filter, although it is not a filter.
Yes.
Let's call it as a magnetic device.
Okay.
Right? Which you have to fix on the main line near your pump room,
Yes.
near your pump. And what it will do is it will break the plus and minus of the different minerals available in your water, and therefore the sedimentation can be avoided, because the plus and minus have been already broken.
Yeah.
The sedimentation can be avoided.
Okay.
And what we have observed from many of our farmers,
Okay.
a lot of them have this issue, high
Yeah.
TDS issue. All the farmers who use these kinds of magnetic devices have apparently seen more than 90% sedimentation reduction.
Oh.
you
Okay.
still might have about 10% which is manageable.
Yeah.
Right? At least 90%
90% reduced.
is reduced. Therefore, I would strongly recommend any farmer, any farm that has this issue to go for the magnetic devices that help you with less sedimentation. Let me not say elimination of sedimentation, but highly reduced
The
sedimentation. So, which is quite manageable for you, because this is one of the primary reasons farmers give why they move away from drip irrigation.
Yes.
You don't really have to move away from the drip irrigation. You can enjoy all the benefits of drip irrigation just by adding that one magnetic device to your main line. So, the next we will talk about spacing. Now, you've just done the cutting.
Yeah.
Right? And so these are branches that were there before.
Yeah.
But these ones that you cut probably were as tall as this, right? 6 feet, maybe
6
more
feet.
than that. But why do you think these branches never grew?
Yeah.
Because they were under the shade of these
longer
ones.
Yeah.
So they never received sunlight.
Definitely.
And therefore they never had an opportunity to grow.
To grow.
So what this tells me and you is that this spacing is not enough.
Yeah.
For a bush like mulberry. So you must increase
the space.
And the ideal space, in my view, for you to get the best biomass is probably somewhere between 5.5 to 6 feet.
Okay.
And if you increase to that level, most of these small branches will have enough opportunity to receive sunlight. And therefore grow like the other ones that you have cut.
Yeah.
Which could certainly, I mean, in addition to the raised bed that we talked about,
okay,
if you also do the right spacing, you are again going to have good amount of increase in the foliage from this field.
Okay.
So now let's just do a comparison. So now this is the plot where you have already, I mean, these are already waiting for cutting.
Grown plants.
They are waiting for cutting.
Yeah.
Right? Now let's go and see the space in between two rows, and I will show you how these branches have suffered for lack of sunlight. Come, let's go and see.
Yeah.
So if you look at this plant, the one stem at the middle is probably the tallest.
Yes.
Then the one to the next is a little smaller, and again smaller. This is smaller than that.
Yeah.
And if you come down,
this is very small.
Very small. Because see, they get no opportunity to receive sunlight.
Yes.
And when they get no sunlight, they don't participate in photosynthesis.
Yes.
And when they don't participate in photosynthesis, they obviously don't grow.
Yeah.
So this space is evidently insufficient for these plants to optimally grow.
Yes.
And maybe we should show the viewers this gap. And you can see every plant with so many small branches, which if you had given little bigger space, they all would have turned into bigger foliage.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. We are now at the hedge Lucerne farm. The feedback for this is quite similar to what I told you for mulberry.
Okay.
One, you have to have raised bed because the complicated root system develops a lot of fibrous roots.
Oh.
And when you have flat land, there is very little opportunity for these plants to produce more fibrous roots.
Okay.
And less fibrous roots, less growth. More fibrous root, more growth. Therefore, raised bed always helps.
Okay.
And everything that I talked about, minerals, air-water balance, Grotron, remains good for this also.
Okay.
The only thing you need to think differently for this compared to other crops is that because it is not a commercial crop grown by people.
Okay.
I have not seen so far any studies suggesting the ideal spacing.
Okay.
So I suggest you experiment with different spacing.
Okay.
One for sure, this 3 feet is not enough. When we go to the fully grown plant, you can see that they're all highly concentrated. Yeah. There is absolutely no space between. You can't even distinguish two rows.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Right? Which means the plant has a potential to grow much larger.
Yeah.
Right. So you need to find the best spacing at which most branches grow to the tallest. Yeah. And very less branches are left out as small. And the best way to experiment, I think, would be to start with 4 feet, 4.5, 5, 5.5, and 6. Yeah. You can go probably even up to 7. And in one of those, you will find more branches are growing taller. And that is your right spacing. So you got to figure out the best spacing for this crop, and then use that for all other fields that you are likely to expand into the future. Okay. If you look at this field, actually it is impossible for you to distinguish two rows unless you actually move this and show the bottom, the bed area, right? And when you look at this, you can see a lot of small branches which have not grown because they never got sunlight. Therefore, they never had an opportunity to grow. So if you can imagine at least 50% of these not so grown branches growing to this height, you're talking about potentially doubling your foliage, your biomass, right? And that is exactly what you need. Yes. Therefore, the trial that I told you, I think it is worthwhile for you to experiment different spacing and find the ideal spacing.
Spacing
I
for this.
think, I mean, I have not studied or read anything about this crop,
Okay.
but I think by looking at these small branches, the concentration of these small branches, I think by getting the right spacing, there is a possibility of probably doubling or tripling the
The yield.
yield, is what I guess.
Yeah.
So I hope some tips I gave you might be useful
Definitely, sir.
and may be useful to the viewers also.
Yeah.
At your capacity, I would suggest try implementing, if not all,
Yeah.
small, little by little here and there. Try experimenting something so that you are able to increase your foliage or biomass. And I also would like to share a happy, something that made me happy in the recent past is that during this exhibition that happened in July 14th, 2024, a lot of farmers came and met me
Okay.
at a stall. Some Grotron farmers, some not Grotron farmers. But one thing that I found common across all of them was that they have most of them apparently have used some or the other tips that I have shared in the past in my videos, and they apparently found those tips helpful. And most of them actually recommended to me to continue the same style
Yeah.
of giving useful tips to their farming. And I think I will stick to that logic. That's exactly what I tried doing today also. So please experiment, because we are only talking science, nothing beyond science. And again, Grotron, same story. It is a technology, not just a piece of technology, not just a piece of product. The photosynthesis as a science was translated into a technology, and that is what is Grotron. Therefore, people who can look at Grotron as a solution for you to improve fodder forms, improving biomass or foliage, Grotron can play a great role. So please, like I said, experiment. Experimentation is the only thing that is going to make you learn more.
Yes.
And make you more knowledgeable and likely to give you more returns also. So I hope again this video was useful, and until we meet again in another video with some more useful information, see you. Bye, Benjamin. See you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.